G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today we're going to be checking out these super cool looking bad boys right here. Now what these are the Flykey goggles, and the reason I'm so, or the Flykey V1s, whatever they are, they'll link them down below. But the reason I'm so excited is because I love checking out new FPV goggles. It's some of the most exciting things we get on the channel, and it's such a big deal because so many people want it. Like, it's the biggest investment you can make, and so many people want different options out there. For the longest time, all we had is Fat Shark. So every time there's a new pair of goggle, whether it be bad or good, and I'll tell you, I'll test it out and let you know. But when there's a new pair of goggle, I get really excited because that's another opportunity, another player in the marketplace that might open up some more doors and create some competition, which is better for all of us out there. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be having a look at the Flykey goggles. I'm getting my words twisted. The Flykey goggles, we're going to be sticking them on the bench, breaking them down, having a look at their features and how they come, and then most importantly, we'll be taking them out to the field, we'll be flying around with them. I'll be talking about my thoughts when I'm flying, and we'll also get Grumpy Trev to check them out as well. So enough rambling from me, let's stick these little bad boys on the bench and get started. Alrighty, so here it is on the bench. You can see I've got the case and I've already opened it up, and I've got the goggle unit right here. But what we're going to do very quickly, let's have a look at some of the extras that it does come with, and then we're going to jump over and have a look at the headset. So we'll get this boring stuff out of the way. You do get two antennas, which we'll talk about because they're just dipolar antennas, or dipole antennas I should say. You've got some other AV jacks. You've got a little, I guess, like a power jack so you can power your goggles. They do have an inbuilt battery. And then you've got some more AV out jack. You've got another little jack right here. I'm not 100% sure what that one is actually. You've got some little glass adjustments, which is nice. If you do need to change some things or you do wear glasses, you can use that. And then you've obviously got the little case. So that's the boring stuff. Oh, and you do get some one little instruction booklet. That's the boring stuff out of the way. Let's jump over. Let's have a look at the goods right here. So straight up, here's the goggles. And the first thing that I notice is they're fairly light. Like, they're not, especially considering this. This is one big point I want to point out. Right here, you actually have the battery built in. Now this is a 1000 milliamp, I think it's a 1000 milliamp 1S battery, or 3.7 I should say. So we've got that battery right there. And honestly, is that a good thing? I'm not 100% sure, because it means you can't switch out the battery in the field if you get a flat one, which is a little bit annoying. And it's right at the front, so is that going to make them uncomfortable when they're sitting on your face? Now what I want to do straight up, goggles being on your face all the time, something you want to make sure is, are they comfortable? And a big factor in that is, how much do they weigh? So what we're going to do, we're going to stick them on the scales right now. I've got some new scales because my other ones were playing up. So these ones are a little bit more accurate, and you can also see I've got some really high-tech kitchenware actually right here. So we'll tear this off. That's going to let us, let's put this way, that's going to let us, once we tear it, we can actually weigh the goggles without them falling off. So let's find out how much they weigh. Now a bit of a comparison, I've got my HD V3s here, and keep in mind these don't have the battery, so let's weigh those. Hopefully you guys can see those numbers anyway. There we go. That's coming in at about 214 grams. So if I take this off, let's weigh the Flykey goggles. Have your guesses with the battery. Remember, this one's got the battery inside, and it's coming in at 174 grams. So significantly lighter than your Fat Sharks. And that's a great thing, because I think nowadays goggles are getting more and more comfortable, and the Fat Sharks are definitely starting to get some competition. But obviously, weight is not the whole story, so it definitely comes into ergonomics and how they actually fit on your face, which is what we should talk about now. Now, regarding to how it fits on your face, you do get this big, nice, cushy piece of foam right here. It's okay, I guess, but my biggest complaint is I seem to notice a lot of light leakage when I was just mucking around with this on my face. And also, who has a face that just comes out like I don't know what this is, like a brick? It comes out like a very square, flat rectangle. No real space for your curvature around your face. Notice how the Fat Sharks have done it. They've got like this nice ellipse right here, or this nice sort of curve. That's not the case on these ones. So I don't know whose face these ones were designed for, but I think that's going to be a big problem when we're flying around. They're just not going to fit very nicely, which is a bit of a shame, because I think they do a lot of the other stuff right. Now, of course, these are a bit more of a budget goggle. They're nowhere near the price of some of these bad boys, but they're still about $300 US or something like that. I'll leave a link down below, so definitely check that out if you're wondering how much they are. But they don't have DVR, which is a bit of a shame, so that's a bit hit and miss for some people. But they do have diversity, and you don't have to buy a diversity module, which is great. So that's already something that's sort of included in this one, which hopefully should work quite well. Now, speaking of that diversity, that's great, when you actually get some antennas that you can do with it. Now look, I'm not too fussed because a lot of people upgrade their antennas anyway and they get some different types, but it would be nice if these ones came with some decent ones, or like some semi-okay ones off the bat. So at the moment we've just got 2 dipole antennas. That's not really gonna make the full use of your diversity. So what you want to do, maybe 2 antennas like right here. So I've got your patch antenna facing one way, so I've got my TBS patch right here, and then maybe my Triumph or my omnidirectional antenna right there. So you can mix and match the antennas. You don't want to have 2 of the same, because that's really not going to do too much for you. So that would be a little improvement, but that's not hard. You can go out and maybe with the money you saved on buying these goggles, you could actually get some of these, because I don't think this TBS patch is very expensive at all. I think it's really well priced. Anyway, back to these goggles. Now, of course, they do have a couple of features which I like. So you can obviously sort of search through your channel. Over this side, I think the buttons are really, really well laid out and very, very simple to follow. The menu's really intuitive. So you can search right here. You can go up or down in your channel and band, which is great. Or you can do your auto search. If you push this little source button, that correlates to if you're going to take the AV input or not. So you've got your AV in right here. If you want to get some AV out, you just simply plug in one of these other jacks that you had. That's how you get it out of there. You can adjust these parts right here for your pupils to make sure it lines up properly. You put your headphones in. Here's your little charging jack. And then I think, and then of course over on this side you've got your two SMA little plugs right here for your antennas. And then this part, this is where you've got your power button. So you can just turn it off or turn it on with simple press of a button. So I found that part's pretty cool as well. You don't have to unplug and plug. It's nice to have that little power button. It's and it's pretty responsive as well. Now on the front, the screens right here, they are in a 16:9 format. So you do have that widescreen. Oh, I've actually turned it on in just by pressing it. Let's turn this off. Beep. There we go. It's turned off. So they are in the 16:9 format, and their pixels are 854 by 480. So look, you do get some pretty decent resolution in here, but they're not making use of most of this foam. It feels like this foam is not really fitted. That's my biggest complaint. I found them pretty clear and pretty bright, but this foam is really a bit lackluster. So you're going to have to do a little bit, I think, to mod it when you take it out and you fly it around to make it fit your face. So look, overall, I think there's some things, and I do definitely think there's some room for some budget goggles. I really like the Omways, and definitely check that link, that review up here. I'll leave that up here. I really like the Omway goggles, and I definitely think they're sort of the biggest contender to the Fat Sharks, and they're at an amazing price. This one's cheaper again, but it doesn't have the DVR of the Omways, and it also just doesn't fit quite right. But that's what it's like on the bench. What we should do now, let's jump down to the field and fly around with them, and I can give you my impressions. There's not going to be any DVR, so it'll just be me talking. I guess bad luck, you're going to have to look at my mug while I'm talking around flying with these. And then we'll also get Grumpy Trev to try them on and check them out as well, because I know he's a big fan of trying out new goggles, and it's something that we're both pretty passionate about, is giving more pilots more options and things they can use so they're not stuck or limited to a monopoly of one brand. Anyway, enough rambling in the bench. Let's cut down to the field and check them out. So let's cut down there in 3, 2, 1. Rightio, Trevor's giving me some flack about these cool looking goggles. Anyway, down here in the field, we've got the Flykey. I think that's what the Flykey goggles. We're going to be putting them on, flying around, but of course there's no DVR. So what we're going to do, you guys are just going to have to watch me talk, my experiences through it, and then we'll also get Grumpy Trev when he's finished his cuppa. We'll see what he thinks as well, because yeah, definitely exciting to have a new goggle player on the market, but I think there might be a few things that they might need to change. All right, let's do it. All right, now one thing that I do want to point out, and definitely this is probably going to happen on no matter what goggles you get. So I know Trev's upgraded his antennas. I've upgraded them on my Fat Sharks that I fly around, and I've also changed them over on this. So I'm not going to be flying around with the stock antennas. And if I did that, I don't think it'd give a fair representation to what I normally fly around with compared to the goggles. So look, I have changed out the antennas, so that's something to be wary of. And look, that is a little bit of a price upgrade, but I think that's something that 90% of the people, when they go out and fly, that's one of the things that they do. All right, so I'm just going to turn it on. I think it's a quick press of the button. There we go, looking good. And my quad's plugged in, so see if I can find it. We're going to scan through and find my channel. Oh, there we go, auto searching. Oh, perfect. What channel is this? B7. No, that's not it. Let's try it again. You just tap it once. There we go, D7. That was actually pretty quick. Yeah, I should have read the instructions. All I have to do, you just press that button down once and it cycles through. And it also tells you what channel you're actually on. I wish I could show you this in the DVR. It'll tell you what channel it's on and cycling through at the bottom. So make sure you're watching, because you can pick up those false channels on most diversity receivers. So make sure you lock it to the correct one. Otherwise you'll fly away 10 meters and it's gonna start to drop out. Anyway, it's on the right channel, so let's do it. Okay, so they are very comfortable on my face. I can notice a little bit of light leakage underneath, and I might just adjust the image just a little bit. Hang on. A pretty clear image, actually. Now, it is in the 16:9, so that feels a little bit weird. That light leakage issue has disappeared. I'm not focusing on that at all. A very, very bright picture, and honestly, it looks fantastic. So it's going to take a little bit to get used to the 16:9, like I mentioned, and that is a massive issue for a lot of pilots. But it seems clearer, like it seems more in focus than my Fat Shark, so I wasn't expecting that. It's definitely not as good as the Onways, but and I thought the foam on the front of my face would be uncomfortable. It's surprisingly a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, especially like I've got some big orange gates and stuff behind me. Over on the track, they're really standing out, really popping. The colors look great, it's nice and bright. And let's see how far I can go, because so far the reception's been fantastic. So you guys can't actually see how far I'm going. It's almost, it can't be better. Is that better than my LaForge? I mean, I'm a long way away and that reception's fantastic. So we'll go all the way over this side of the track now, see what we think. I am getting like hardly any breakup whatsoever. You know, I'm really impressed. These are awesome. Going along here, I'm gonna go over near the car park. These have to be, I don't know if these have some different sort of receiver. It'd be really interesting to find out what make they have in there, because I actually think these are performing better than my, what are they, the Real ACC or whatever the diversity receiver I've got in my Fat Sharks, which is great. So yeah, I might bring it in, because I'm really impressed actually. A lot more so than I thought I was going to be. Yeah, they feel actually quite comfortable as well. I was sort of ready to slam these things, you know, like I was going to sort of picture I really like the Onways, and then I was like, you know, these are pretty close, and I still think the Onways are better because just that comfort factor, and the Onways have DVR. But overall, that reception was great. The screen was really clear, and they weren't too uncomfortable. And I think once you took off and you sort of were focused on the screen, I didn't notice that light leakage really too much at all. But that was my impressions. Let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks, because yeah, I'm a bit of a fan. All right, Trevor, there's your remote. I don't know why I said it like that. Your remote. It's upside down. Yeah. Well, all right, what do you reckon? So you've got them on your head?
Yeah, well, it feels like a board across the front of my face. I don't know where you got the comfort out of this. It just feels like there's a piece of board stuck to the front of my head. Look, the picture's good. It's in focus. Very good picture. All right, we'll just get up in the air and see what happens. To me, so far, okay, they're getting a bit more comfortable. They're not uncomfortable, but to me, it feels like it's just a bit of something flat you got stuck to your head. A little bit of light leakage, like I said, down the bottom, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. 16:9, it is a bit different. But look, I'm going to get used to it. I like them already. When I first seen these, I've got to admit, I thought they were going to be shit. But these are not bad. Can't believe I'm saying that.
That's what I thought.
No kidding. These, gee, I tell you what, the range of these things is...
Yeah, go right up to the end. That's where I was really impressed. What do you reckon of the reception?
Well, I've got a Furious dual diversity on my Fat Sharks, and I get a lot more interference down that end.
So is this better?
I'm not even facing it, am I?
No.
There you go.
So was that better reception?
This is definitely better reception. Why? Oh, I can't believe how good it is. Gee whiz. Just goes to show you can't just go by the looks of a product. That light leakage that's down the bottom, it is, look, I know it's there, but I can't, you don't notice it now. The wider screen is not an issue for me anymore. This feels really, really nice. How
would you say compared to the Onways? Because I know the Onways were some of the, you love the Onways, yeah, so look, how do these go compared to that?
Look, they're not as comfortable. Look, these are probably a bit more comfortable than a Fat Shark, I've got to say, but they're nowhere near as comfortable as the Onway. The only thing I could say about these is it'd be really good if it had a DVR. I like how it says you got what channel you're on the screen. That is so good. Gee, you could do a lot worse and get a set of these. Look, really, I like them.
And were you ready to slam them?
I was so ready to slam these. Can't you see how disappointed I am?
Yeah, all right, so give me a Grumpy Trev rating out of 10, because I think before this it was not going to be a very good score. So what do you reckon?
No, well, if I was going to buy a set of these, if I had my choice between, we'll just talk Fat Sharks because they seem to have the, well, they obviously got the market share at the moment. if I was going to buy a set of Fat Sharks or a set of these, I'd certainly buy these because these are cheaper, every bit as good as Fat Sharks. Built-in diversity already, how can you go wrong? Built-in battery, and they're comfortable. Get these. These are all right. I'll give these an 8. They're up there. They're really good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What would you give your Fat Sharks out of 10?
Look, after trying all the others, I'd give them probably about a 6. They're there because that's all we really got.
At the start.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, we were both sort of pleasantly surprised with those Flykey goggles. They're just a bit of a shame they don't have DVR, and we might be able to mod out some of that light leakage and that sort of stuff. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my review with the Flykey goggles, and I'm just going to put it out there right now. I am super impressed with these things, so much so these might actually be my backup goggles. So you can see I've actually modded them a little bit already since bringing them home. I've put some extra bits of foam there to make that curve much nicer on my face. I've added these awesome Armaton straps, so I don't know where Armaton gets these from, so they make your goggles much more comfy. I've simply put them on. I get no light leakage, and the best part about it now, when I actually fly around, I'm going to get some of that perfect reception. Or these things had amazing reception. And I've tried like the Leakage V2s, the Furious modules, the Real ACC modules, all those Fat Shark diversity modules, you know. This thing totally whooped it, and I can't understand what's going on. So, look, do I think the Onways are better? Yeah, I still do think the Onways are a better first-time goggle, and they're not too much more expensive, and I'll link them down below as well. But these bad boys, I was super impressed. So I definitely think, to quote Trevor, you could do a lot worse than to fly around with some of these. So these things, I'm so much more impressed than I actually thought I was going to be, which is great because that's what we need. We need more goggle players on the market, hopefully drive those prices down for you out there as well, so you flyers, you FPVers can actually have a bit more variety when it comes to choosing something rather than just one brand with a monopoly. Anyway, hope that you guys like that. Definitely drop some comments down below. What do you think about these goggles? What do you want to see in some goggles? Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying. One thing I did forget to mention very quickly that definitely this part here, because I know some people are going to say, well, one inbuilt battery is a little bit limiting. That's why you get this cord, so you could simply plug this into something in your pocket, fly all day off your lipos, or I might jerry this up a little bit and attach it to behind my head so I can use a normal Fat Shark battery. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos, and I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.